Okay. So moving on to the next topic of the filters, that is band reject filters. Okay, it is also called as band stop or band elimination filter. In band reject filter, as we had seen in band pass filter, there are two types. One is wide and narrow. Here also we have two types: wide band reject and narrow band reject. The narrow band is also called as notch filter. So it will be rejecting certain, or it will be frequencies are attenuated in the stop band. Okay, it will be attenuate or it will stop certain frequencies. So how this is designed, we'll see like a wide band reject filter. First we'll see wide band, then we'll go for narrow band. So in wide band we have, like, it is designed by using low pass filter, high pass filter and summing amplifier. Three it is taken. One is low pass, second is high pass and summing amplifier. These three put together, this band reject filter will be designed. But to realize a band reject response, the low cutoff frequency FL of high pass must be larger than the higher cutoff frequency FH of low pass. So FL should be greater than FH to design this wide band reject filter. So first we'll move on to the circuit diagram here. So what we told, we require a low pass filter, high pass filter and a summing amplifier. So low pass filter means what? The input is given for resistor here. Fine. And high pass means the input is given for capacitor. See, the here input is given for both the op amps of for non-inverting terminal. Okay, it is given for non-inverting terminal. That is, it is given for plus. Okay, both the inputs V in, and the output from A1 and A2, output from the both the amplifiers, that is A1 and A2, is fed for the inverting terminal. Okay, and the output V0 is taken here. So this is just a summing amplifier in inverting mode, and the non-inverting terminal is grounded here. And what they have done, the gain, that is the feedback resistor, are kept same, that is R2 and R4 are kept same, so that the gain is unity. Here also the feedback resistor is grounded. So what is this band reject filter? Band reject filter has both the filters, that is high pass and low pass filters, given for two op amps, and the output is given for the summing amplifier. So in this way the circuit is designed that certain frequencies, that is the frequencies set up by FH. Okay, when it becomes this first one is the low pass. Okay, and this is the high pass. This is the frequency response of low pass filter, that is gain is constant and then it decreases, and the gain slowly increases and becomes constant is the frequency response of high pass filter. So low pass and high pass put together, they will reject certain band. Okay, this here also it will pass, here also it will pass, but the frequencies in the middle will be rejected. In the middle means what? It is in between FH and FL. Okay, the cutoff frequency of low pass and the cutoff frequency of high pass filter, between that the frequencies will be rejected. So this is the frequency response of band reject, and this is the circuit diagram for wide band. Okay, wide band reject filter, which consists of low pass, high pass and a summing amplifier. So what next what they do, they have kept the gain of the summing amplifier as 1. We can keep the gain 1 by just equating the resistors. So R2, R3 and R4 are kept as 10 kilo ohm. That is how they go with the design. Next we'll see what is this narrow band reject filter. See, narrow band reject filter is till now we have seen only active filters where op amp was used. Here without using op amp, they'll design only the network. See, by seeing this network you can see that in electric circuit analysis we had seen a T network with a resistor, 2 resistors and 1 capacitor, and 2 capacitor and 1 resistor in 2-port network. Okay, in 2-port network he had seen this, and we had told that it is used for communication. Okay, for that network is shown here, and it is a passive filter. It is used only to reject a frequency of 60 hertz. Okay, so it is called as notch filter, very small one. The narrow band reject filter, called as notch filter, is commonly used to reject a single frequency. That is important. It is used to reject a single frequency of 60 hertz power line frequency hump. So whenever they transmit the power, there is a hump of 60 hertz that should be removed. Okay, to remove that frequency, they go with this notch filter, and it is also called twin T network. Why they call twin T network? Because it is take the T shape. The transmission parameters are then in that way it takes, and one T network has two resistors and capacitor, and one more has two capacitors and a resistor. So it is also called passive filter. The figure A is passive filter. Okay, when this network, whatever this T network was there, when that is connected to a op amp, okay, this op amp is just a voltage follower. When it is connected to a op amp, then we call it as active filter. Okay, this is the active filter where a frequency, a single frequency of 60 hertz is being completely removed. So its frequency response is very narrow. Okay, the bandwidth is very narrow. FH, FL are shown, and this is the frequency response of twin T notch filter. So the B is the active filter. Okay, active notch filter, and the frequency response is shown. Why we go with the op amp? To increase the quality factor. Okay, the Q of the network can be increased by going with the voltage follower. And the most important application of this is it is used in communications and biomedical instruments. Okay, for communications and biomedical instruments it is used, and for eliminating the undesired frequency. To remove the undesired frequency, we use this, and to design, we go with a capacitor value less than or equal to 1 microfarad. That is how the design is done. So if they tell you to design a 60 hertz active notch filter, they have assumed let capacitor be 0.068 microfarad. It is been substituted in the formula. That is Fn is equal to 1 by 2 pi Rc. If you want R, it is just cross multiplied here. Position is changed and just substitute 2 pi. Okay, F is 60 hertz and capacitor is 68 into 10 power minus 9. So we'll get the value of R. So it can be designed. So the notch filter formula is what? Fn frequency is equal to 1 by 2 pi Rc. This is the circuit and the frequency response of notch filter. Okay, next we'll move on with the all pass filter. This all pass filter, what it will do, it will provide when signals are transmitted over transmission lines such as telephone wires, they undergo change in phase. Okay, there will be change in the phase. If you are sending with one phase, if it is going with the sine wave, it becomes the cos wave, like it becomes a 90-degree phase shift. To compensate for this, they go with this all pass filters. It will just pass all the frequencies. All pass filter passes all frequency components of the input signal without attenuation. It will not do any attenuation, but only there will be some phase shift. Okay, that will be done there. So here the circuit is shown here. Fine. So it is like low pass filter only, but the input is given for both the terminals. For inverting and non-inverting terminal, the input is given. It comes with the feedback is not grounded here. Okay, the input is given for both the terminals, and we have resistor and capacitor. It like a low pass filter. Since it is fed back, so there is a phase shift. So we can find out the output voltage V0 by applying the superposition theorem. Listen, like input is given for inverting and non-inverting terminal. When it is given for inverting terminal, the output is minus V in, and we have gone with unity gain. Okay, unity gain means the feedback is of same. The feedback resistors are equal. So when it is of unity gain, then what will be V0 will be just minus V in. Okay, this is two inputs. Two inputs, one is from inverting terminal, one is from non-inverting terminal. Both put together, we are taken as V0. Okay, that is output. So for first we'll see for inverting terminal, the gain is minus RF by R1. Since RF and R1 are equal, so it is minus 1. So the output is minus V in. For non-inverting terminal, the gain is what? 1 plus RF by R1. Since RF and R1 are equal, so 1 plus 1 is 2. So the gain is 2 here. Okay, gain into whatever the resistor we have. So what is the resistor we have here? we have the voltage here will be nothing but the voltage across the capacitor divided by sum of voltages. That is the main voltage into voltage across the capacitor divided by sum of voltages. That is R minus JXC. Substitute XC as 1 by 2 pi FC. Okay, and by simplifying we'll get V naught is equal to, just take V in common, we'll get minus 1 plus 2 divided by J2 pi FRC plus 1. This 2 is the gain of the amplifier. V in is taken common. By taking the LCM, this 2 pi F will get cancelled. We had done this later. Before only we had done. So we'll get V naught is equal to V in into the term minus 1 plus 2 divided by J2 FRC plus 1. So just if you rationalize, we'll get V naught as 1 minus J2 pi FRC divided by 1 plus J2 pi FRC into V in. So just there will be a phase shift. So all pass filter, we saw the circuit diagram here, input and output are 90° out of phase. The phase shift between input and output voltages are shown. So V naught by V in is equal to, the formula is written where F is the frequency of the input signal in hertz. We can find out the phase also. Phase is nothing but minus 2 into tan inverse of 2 pi FRC divided by 1. Okay, that is the phase angle pi, where pi is in degrees, F in hertz, R in ohms and C in farads. So this is about the all pass filter and the phase shift, the frequency response of all pass filter and the circuit. Okay, the circuit here, the input is given for both the terminals, that you have to remember. And here we find out the output voltage V naught. We found the output voltage V naught by applying superposition theorem. We take one voltage at a time. So when we take for inverting, it is minus V in, and when we take for non-inverting, it is V in into this resistor, and the 2 is nothing but the gain. Again, I'll tell you, for the inverting terminal, the gain is minus RF by R1, and for non-inverting terminal, the gain is 1 plus RF by R1. Here we are taking the gain as 1, okay, unity as 1 by making the feedback resistors same. We take both all as 10 kilo ohm, okay, all are 10 kilo ohm, so the unit, it has unity gain. So this is about all pass filters. Next we'll see some introduction to the DC voltage regulators. What is this voltage regulator? You might have heard regulation. We use for all our appliances, a regulator will be given for us. Okay, supply voltage regulator. What is this? It will see that even though there are any variations in the supply voltage, the output should be stable. The output which goes for all our electronic appliances, that output should be stable, so that the device is not affected by the fluctuations in our supply. So in this regulation, always they give importance for 2 points. One is the supply voltage, that is the AC supply that comes to a home, and the second one is the load current. Okay, so one is the line voltage, or it is called AC supply or line voltage, and the next part is the load current. So two important topics you have to remember, that is supply voltage and load current. So to provide a stable DC, a DC voltage regulator will be used, and for all voltage regulators they go with the Zener diode. Zener diode is the one which gives stable reference voltage. Okay, a Zener diode with a series resistor can be used as a simple low current voltage regulator. The addition of a transistor allows a larger load current to be supplied. Okay, only diode and resistor will give a low current. If you add a transistor, we'll get a large load current. So first we will go with the voltage regulator basics. So to know what it is, a DC voltage regulator accepts an unregulated supply voltage. Okay, unregulated, it is not regulated, supply voltage, and produces a stable DC output voltage. DC, it will take a unregulated supply voltage will be ours AC only. Then we'll get a DC output voltage. That is illustrated. I'll show that figure where the regulator supply voltage is identified as Vs and the output is V naught. So this unregulated supply is usually derived by transforming, rectifying and smoothing an AC supply voltage or line voltage. See, that is important. So whatever the supply that comes from AC, okay, our supply, whatever we'll get like 50 hertz, with 50 hertz frequency, you can see, if you have a battery at your home, you can see the supply there. It will be showing from 211, 212, 213 to 220 also it will go. Okay, there will be huge fluctuations, variation. It will not be constant. That AC input is transformed, or it is passed through a transformer for stepping down. Then you have a rectifier and a smoothing circuit also. All that is done. Okay, after all doing all this, that we call it as VS. Okay, that VS again it is passed to DC voltage regulator. Okay, to get a output V0. Because after rectifying and smoothing, even then there are certain ripples in the supply. Okay, that ripples also should be removed. So it is passed through a voltage regulator and we will get the output V0. See, that ripples are shown here. This is the ripples, fine. It is also called as VRS. So these ripples will be between our supply voltage maximum and supply voltage minimum, VS max and VS minimum. It will be between that. The supply voltage is VS, and whatever the DC voltage V0, it will be little less than VS minimum. Whatever that will be our DC voltage that will be sent for all the appliances wherever it is required. Okay. So we after seeing that figure, now we'll see the unregulated supply is usually derived from transforming, rectifying and smoothing an AC supply voltage. So what we'll call it? We call it as line voltage. The regulator normally produces a reasonably constant output voltage. Okay, reasonably constant regulator, regardless of variations in the line voltage, and it normally supplies varying load currents with significant change. So the figure B shows unregulated supply as there is a substantial ripple that I showed, VRS. Okay, that is that ripple should be removed. With an average DC level of 18 volts, the ripple amplitude might typically be 2 volts peak to peak. Okay, there is usually some output voltage ripple VR0, but this is normally very much small and it can be neglected. So the maximum DC output voltage that can be provided by regulator is normally 3 volts less than VS minimum. So supply voltage minimum, how much it will be now? From that 3 volts it will be less. That will be the maximum voltage a DC regulator will provide. So what this DC regulator will do, it will stabilize the output. Okay, whatever the ripples that are produced. Regulator job only is that. Okay, it has to regulate the unregulated supply that comes from the AC, because there will be many ripples and fluctuations in the supply which will affect the performance of our device. Okay, so for that what they will do, they have decided some 2-3 factors to decide it. Okay, some basics. The performance of voltage regulator depends upon 3 factors. As I have told, very important thing in regulation is, one is the supply current, supply voltage and load current. Okay, supply voltage and load current. So they have taken 3 terms to define the performance. One is line regulation, second one is load regulation, and the last one is ripple rejection. So line regulation means whatever the AC supply which we get, that should be regulated. Second one is load regulation, means whatever the loads which we apply. Okay, the loads that are applied for the regulator. Next is the whatever the ripple that is there, that should be rejected. So we have the formulas for that. So what is line regulation? Means whatever there is change in the output voltage. Okay, the line regulation defines the variation in the output voltage. So variation we represent it by delta V0. That occurs when the supply voltage Vs increases or decreases by 10%. Okay, whatever there is change in the output voltage when the supply voltage is plus or minus 10%. Okay, that output voltage change is expressed as percentage of normal DC output voltage. So that is called line regulation. So what is the formula? Line regulation is equal to change in output voltage delta V naught for what? For plus or minus 10% change in Vs. Okay, divided by V naught into 100 for percentage. No? So the input is into 100. So that will give line regulation. So what will be load regulation? Change in the output voltage for change in the plus or minus change in the load current divided by V naught into 100%. So what is load regulation? Defines the regulator performance in relation to load current. When the load current changes from 0 to full load, the output changes by an amount delta V naught. The load regulation is delta V naught expressed as a percentage of normal output voltage. So this is the formula for line regulation and load regulation. See these two concepts, notes is not, I will tell you with source effect. Okay, there is a concept called source effect. The AC supply to the input of a transformer in DC power supply does not always remain constant. Okay, so that is known as source effect. So source effect is the AC supply to the input of a transformer in a DC power supply does not always remain constant. The output voltage change delta V naught due to supply voltage change is known as source effect. Okay, so to same about same like that line regulation only. For that first they will tell the source effect, then they will tell the line regulation. What is source effect? It is delta V naught for a 10% change in supply. When that is divided by V naught and multiplied by 100, we get its line regulation. Getting it? So source effect is what? Change in output voltage when there is 10% change in supply. Okay, that divided by the original V naught into 100% will give the line regulation. And what is the load effect? Load effect is output voltage decreases when load current is increasing and rises when load current is reduced. So load effect defines how the output voltage changes when the load current is increased. Okay, so that is about the load effect. It is same like that. So first we'll write load effect. It is change in output voltage when the load current changes. So what is load regulation? Whatever this load effect divided by V naught into 100%. So you can write this line regulation and load regulation directly, or you can tell what is source effect and load effect and then tell what is line regulation and load regulation. So this line and load regulation are very important for our DC voltage regulators. That are the two performance parameters, and the last one is ripple rejection. So it is the measure of, or it is the ratio of VRS by VR0. What is VRS? It is the supply ripple. And what is VR0? That is output ripple. So it is a measure of how much a voltage regulator attenuates the supply voltage ripple. So there will be many ripples in the supply voltage. So how much it can be attenuated from an unregulated power supply. It is expressed in decibels. So these are the three important performance parameters for voltage regulator. One is line regulation, second one is load regulation, and third one is ripple rejection. So a DC voltage regulator is used to remove or is to stabilize the voltages that come from the rectifier and smoothing circuit. Hope you have understood.